Hey, before we start today, I'd love for you to put your phones away, silence them, or turn them off. So today, and welcome to 8th graders as well. I know you guys are up there spread out. We have a great opportunity. I'm really happy to host Ms. Cammie Rice. Cammie is a native of Atlanta, Georgia. She's the CEO and founder of the Christopher Wolf Crusade. She's going to talk to you a little bit about the opioid and fentanyl epidemic in our country. She's also going to talk to you a little bit about a powerful story and an impactful story that she has. I know this will be a very serious talk, but I also want you to think of some questions along the way. A great opportunity for us to host her. She had a long career in corporate America, was even the vice president of Bank of America, Finance and Technology, but now she's devoting her time, effort, energy, and money into education and educating communities on opioids and fentanyl and the dangers of them. So very pleased to introduce Ms. Cammie Rice.
It was epic. I missed it this year, so I apologize. But it's great to be back. It's great to be here. Listen, today I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to get a little dark. It's going to be a little sad. It's going to be real. But the point is, it's all about you. Because literally, this conversation that I'm getting ready to have with you could save your life. It could save the person sitting next to you, the person sitting behind you. It's serious, and it's real. So I'm going to have a raw conversation and just share my story and what I'm doing about it, right? So let's get started. That's my son. And when he was in 8th grade, he was diagnosed with a colon disease. Now, it's icky boo to talk about, but he literally had diarrhea 15 to 20 times a day. Can you imagine? Being in 8th grade, at school, having to go to the bathroom that many times, what happened? The bullying, right? And he was embarrassed, and he hated going to school because he had to keep going to the bathroom and going to the bathroom. And he had an illness, a colon disease. And when he became a senior in high school, he had to have a major surgery. And he went home with 90 Oxycontins. And this is right when Oxycontins hit the market. So it's about 20-some years ago. I listened to my doctor. The doctor said, give those pills to him every 4 hours. And he was in pain. He had a hole in his stomach. And so I did exactly what the doctor told me to do. And I gave him those pills every 4 hours, 90 Oxycontins. And with one prescription, he was addicted. Does my son look like a drug addict to you? When you think about drug addicts, do you have a stigma in your mind of what that drug addict looks like? My son was a drug addict. This is a boy that wanted to be a Navy SEAL. He was disciplined. He was an AP student, smart. Look at that smile. And those drugs hijacked his brain. They took over his brain. He said, Mama, all I hear is get the next pill, get the next pill. I've got to have the next pill. I need help. He spent over half of his life fighting addiction. 4 treatment centers. Put every effort he could into it. We had all the resources. I couldn't save my son. I lost my son. He died February 26, 2016. And he sacrificed his life so that your life will be saved. Because I work on this every single day. Why? Because I don't want any other mother or any other father to lose their child. So this message I'm going to say to you today, please take it serious. Please listen hard to what I'm saying, because it literally could save your life. Okay? So,
Major pharmacy change. Both CVS and Walgreens announcing the companies will pay out nearly $10 billion in the latest settlement connected to the opioid epidemic. It was around the turn of the century that opioid manufacturers like Purdue Pharma, which makes OxyContin, and Teva, which makes oxycodone, convinced medical providers that the ingredients used in the high-powered painkillers were not addictive and were safe. So those providers started prescribing them at a large rate, and their patients became hooked. The Department of Health and Human Services issued a public health emergency in 2017, and since then, doctors and pharmacies have been cracking down on what and how much is prescribed. And as a result, many have resorted to getting the drugs on the street or through social media.
So, let's talk real. Hundreds of years, people have been experimenting with drugs. Hundreds of years. And really, almost every campaign that's been out there, say no to drugs, they all fail because people continue to experiment with drugs. The difference today, and listen close, the difference with experimenting with drugs today is they're poisoned. The street drugs are literally, purposely poisoned with fentanyl, okay? These faces here, so I was just in Ohio and Kentucky over the weekend, and all the parents that lost their children from Ohio and Kentucky, this bridge connects the two states. The bridge was full of parents that lost their kids. And these banners, there were 30 banners on each side that had 150 kids' photos all the way down each side of the bridge that passed away. It was mortifying. It was grueling. One story, Snapchat, there was a bunch of kids at a sleepover. Somebody reached out to them on Snapchat, said, do you want to dance all night long and laugh till you cannot stop laughing? That sounds fun, right? Sounds really fun. And they just kept pinging them on Snapchat. They delivered, the black web delivered the medicine, the fun pills, what they called fun pills, to this slumber party. 14-year-olds. Everyone at the slumber party died. Everyone died. They took one pill. One pill, one bad choice, and it had fentanyl in it. So, I want to give you an example of how deadly it is. Okay? So I'm going to mess up the stage a little bit, but I got permission first from Mr. Miles. This little packet of sugar right here, that, if that was fentanyl, that would kill over 500 people, just what I poured on the floor. Over 500 people. It's in Adderall, it's in Xanax, it's in cocaine. They've seen it laced in marijuana. And guess what? It's a chemical warfare on our country, and they're killing the age group right here that's going into the military. It's a chemical warfare attack on our children. So that's why we have to be real with you. That's why we can't put icing on this and say, no. You could try one pill and you could be dead. Can you spot the fake pills? They have made them look exactly like the prescription pill. You cannot tell the Adderall between the prescription and the fake pill. You cannot tell the difference between the Xanax and the fake pill. This is the important message. I use this every single day, and it's Narcan. And Narcan tells your lungs to breathe if you're overdosing. Every household should have Narcan. Every concert hall, every airport, every place should have Narcan. Now, let's say you have Narcan and you're in a coffee shop, because this happens. Someone's in the bathroom, they overdose. They took a Xanax, they thought they had a high anxiety, they got a Xanax, but it was from the street, it had fentanyl in it, they're overdosing. Now let's say I'm questioning myself, is that lady having an overdose or a stroke? What if I give her the Narcan and she's not overdosing? It will not hurt her. And it's a nasal spray. Now, the fentanyl is getting so strong out there that sometimes you need 2 and 3 Narcan shots to save your life. There's been a situation where somebody goes to the ER, they overdosed, they gave them the Narcan, they went home too soon, they walked in their apartment, the Narcan wore off, the fentanyl spiked up, and they died. That's how strong this drug is. So I'm a huge component that everybody should Narcan. Common opioids. There's many street names for different pills, right? But these are the common ones. And I'm not going to sit and read them off. But what I will tell you is you have to learn to protect yourself. Did you know that dentists are some of, and there are great dentists out there, I'm not saying all dentists, but some dentists are one of the highest prescribers of opioids in our country. If you're getting a root canal or your wisdom teeth taken out, which you're probably all going to have to do if you haven't done it already, you do not need 30 Percocet. Sorry. You just had something that's going to cause a little bit of pain, and it's called ice and Motrin. You don't need opioids. Now, let's say you have a situation where you do need opioids. Let's say you've had a football injury, soccer injury, gymnastics, God forbid, a car accident, something like that. There is a good place for opioids, but it has to be, you have to taper off of them very quickly. You use it for the extreme pain that you're in when you're in the hospital, and you know that you've got to taper off of them very, very quickly, or you're going to become addicted. So there is a place and time for opioids, but you've got to use them safely and responsibly, and not be afraid to ask your doctor questions. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm not really wanting to take an opioid. Do you have something else for my pain management? 80% of heroin users started with an opioid prescription. Fentanyl is 100% stronger than heroin. That's a lot, right? And if you look at fentanyl, like how many different flavors of soda are there out there, right? You got Coke and orange juice, orange pop, grape, Dr. Pepper, right? Sierra Mist. That's the way it is with fentanyl. There's so many flavors that the government can't even keep track of what's coming in our country. And it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Let's watch this video real quick.
should you carry Narcan? For the law enforcement officer suffering an accidental exposure while on duty. For your student who's been struggling at school and hasn't returned from the bathroom in over 20 minutes. For your neighbor whose son is lying unconscious on their dining room floor. For your best friend from high school who grew up in an abusive home and was given her first drug from her parents. For your dog who ate a thrown bag of heroin on your daily walk. For your daughter who was raised in a perfectly normal home, but still turned to drugs. For the little boy who will never see his parent again. For the teenage girl who was experimenting at a party. For your best friend's brother, who they love unconditionally, no matter how many times he's been to rehab. For your grandma, who forgot how much of her pain medication she took. For your toddler, when you accidentally left the pain medication on the table. For the boy at the party who didn't know his marijuana was laced in fentanyl. For humanity. For all of our children that we have lost. For people suffering substance use disorder. Why should you carry Narcan? So you can save a life.
So again, I don't want to apologize for it being sad because I want it to be real to you all, because it is real. And it is about choices. And you're going off to college, you're seniors, and you're going to get in a situation where someone's going to offer you something. And you have to be strong enough and understand that if you make one bad choice with one pill, your life can be over. And it never used to be like that. It's different. And so I realize it's a lot of stress on you guys, like really. But here's what I want to envision. You guys, 85 years old, you're on the porch, you're talking to your grandkids, and you're saying, you won't believe what we did in our generation. Outlived COVID, dealt with all that, dealt with the largest epidemic in our lifetime. But here's the key. It's going to take your generation to save your generation. It's not going to come from parents and people lecturing you. You're not going to hear it. But if you really listen today and you share with your peers, and it's peer-to-peer educating, that works. Because your friend is going to listen to you way more than they listen to me, or their dad, or their aunt, or their uncle, because you're their peer. And that's why we're trying to build this crusade of ambassadors that are going to go out and save the world, because it's killing people your age group. So, let's go to the next slide here. So, what we did is we kind of picked one of the hardest things in the world to do is create a new position in healthcare. So there's a new profession out there, if you're interested in healthcare. It's called a care coach. And their job in a hospital, so let's say you had an injury or you had to have a surgery, they educate patients about the dangers of the medication they're being given. They also provide techniques to help with anxiety, stress, depression, PTSD. Do any of you, have you ever get any of that? I think so, right? You get anxiety when you have a test or when you're trying to get into school you want to get in, whatever causes that anxiety. We teach techniques to help you get through those anxieties so that you don't self-medicate, right? So this is the healing wheel. So this is one of the things that Crystal World Crusade does in regards to prevention. Now this is a cool story because we're going to bring it up because I know it's been dark and heavy and a lot. So these are my husband and I's godchildren, triplets. It was awesome, right? There they are, the babies. So I just had a birthday in October, and as a gift, they started a CWC Youth Ambassador Club. And it's to teach peers about the opioid epidemic, to teach kids about fentanyl. And they came up with their own things that they want to do. So they're doing face painting, and they make bracelets to bring opioid awareness, and they've got their own ideas of what they want to do. But the other thing that we have is we have a patient care package that we give to patients in the hospital. Many of them sometimes are homeless or have food insecurity or domestic violence, whatever the case may be, and they're raising money to give patients care packages in the hospital. So that's what they've taken on. And I just want to open it up that if you are interested in joining, it's brand new, right off the press. We haven't even got it moving yet, but we are going to have a youth ambassador program at CWC to, again, help build awareness, to help spread the word of what's going on in our country, because it is the largest epidemic we'll ever see in our lifetime. So with that, I want to open it up if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to share with the group. I think that was the last slide. Oh, no, I got to talk about my book first, sorry. Okay, I got to talk about my book. I'm not making a penny off this book. Every single dime goes to the charity. And the reason I wrote the book is because I wanted to have, our life is, I use the analogy of your life being like an airplane flight. It's like your journey of life. And people get on your flight that you think are going to be on your flight your entire journey. I thought Christopher was going to be on my flight my entire journey, right? And people come on your flight, and then you land at different places in life. You land at success, you land at happiness, you land at sorrow, sickness, and grief. And the point is, you got to keep flying. You got to keep going on your journey. And so what I try to share is that I've taken my pain and I've turned it into purpose. And that to me is the most important life lesson that I can share with you, is having purpose in your life. Find the spark, find what makes you passionate, what turns your heart on, and that's what you want to go for in life. And so the flight has QR codes in it. It has a resource library. If someone in your family, or if you know a neighbor, or you know someone that's suffering with substance misuse, it has resources in there and a guide, how to talk to your friends about drugs. There's just a lot of resources in there. So I'll stop plugging, but again, all the money goes to the charity. And now I'll open it up for questions. You ready? Ah, there's one.
I never heard before about NASA, so I don't know how to use or how to get it or something like
The Narcan?
that. Yes.
Good, great question. So,
I can answer that from.
yes.
Well, we do have Narcan on campus, and our duty administrator does have Narcan within that act as well. So we can talk to you a little bit more about that afterwards, but just know that we do have that on campus.
And there's a YouTube video that tells you specifically how to administer Narcan, but it's literally like nasal spray. It's not difficult to do. Let's see a question. Any questions?
I'll do one question. So I think you did a nice job talking not only about the data, but also that it affects all people. I think there's sometimes a stereotype of drug overdose. We have almost 500 people here today. More than likely, there's going to be some times in their life that they know somebody, a family member, a friend, a college roommate that might be using prescription drugs in a non-prescription way. What are some approaches that they can have in trying to navigate that challenge? Whether it's in school here or in college or in life, more than statistically they're going to encounter. So
Right.
What are some approaches maybe that our students and others would have?
Well, everybody thinks it can't happen to you. It can't happen to you until it does happen to you, right? So my point is, there are, on our website, on cwc.ngo, we have tons of resources, tons of ways to approach, because most likely if somebody's using, they're going to be very defensive, and they're going to be argumentative. and they're not going to want to hear what you have to say. And so you have to do it in a very gentle way, and depending on your relationship with that person, you might, if you're too close to the situation, you might have to get a friend or somebody else to have an intervention. But there are partnerships to end addiction. They have literally scripts on their website that tells you how to talk to individuals if you think they're having a substance misuse disorder. And here's the thing I'll tell you, it will sneak up on you. So many people in rehab said, wow, like I was just partying and drinking, and all of a sudden, I had to have it. I had to have it. My brain was hijacked. So it could be cool and partying, and all of a sudden, it sneaks up on you, and you gotta go to something stronger, and something stronger, and something stronger. And it is something that you live with your entire life. There is no cure. You have to live with the addiction and having to stay clean every single day. And it's hard. It's very hard. It's doable, but it's very difficult. Yes?
Who's making the fentanyl and putting it in drugs? Like, where's it coming from?
It's a great question. So the fentanyl is, she asked, where is it coming from? The fentanyl is coming from China and India, and it's going into Mexico. And they don't have to grow it. It's not like heroin. It's not like marijuana. It's synthetic. So they're just doing it, and there's no science to it. They're dropping it, and you can get a prescription with 15 pills, and 14 of them are fine, and the one has fentanyl in it. There is no science to it. These are not business people, and they're bringing it over the border in the massive amounts over the border. Yes?
So what's the benefit? Why are they making fentanyl? I'm sure it's expensive to make, so why are they putting it in these things?
Great question. If you are, let's say you're an addict, and you start, so like, for example, in Asheville, when the COVID happened, they ran out of heroin. There was not heroin. And so all the heroin addicts went to fentanyl. If they get you addicted to fentanyl, if you have just the right amount of fentanyl, you have to have it. It's not like you're going back to the drug dealer every week or every other day. It's multiple times a day. You have to keep buying it. So if they get you as a fentanyl addict, great. They're going to make more money, more money, more money. Now, why? I said the same thing. Why are they killing their clients? They don't care because it's black web. They'll just go to the next one, just go to the next one, and the next one. And it's really, drug dealers aren't on the street per se anymore. It's all done over the web. So that's a great question. Yes?
Say we go to a party or something, is there a way for us to know whether or not something's laced with fentanyl or another opioid?
Great question. So if we go to a party, is there a way to know if something has fentanyl in it? Now, that's a controversial subject. Let me tell you why. Because then a drug user says, okay, well, I'll just get these fentanyl strips. Because they have fentanyl strips. And you can test the drugs. And then you see, okay, it doesn't have fentanyl in it, and you do the drug. Again, this isn't like a prescription that was made at a pharmacy, that a pharmaceutical company. This is coming over the border. So let's say you test the fentanyl strip and it says negative, but it was on the other side of the pill, and then you take it and then you die. Do you see what I'm saying? So is there a 100% guarantee, even if you did that fentanyl strip and it said that there was no fentanyl in it? No, there's not a 100% guarantee. So literally, they have posters out there. It's like playing Russian roulette. Are you willing to put that gun up and say, boom, is this got a bullet in it or not? And that's really what you're doing, is playing Russian roulette. Here's the thing. Find peace within. Find happiness within. Because if you're just trying to self-medicate something else that's going on, you're going to triple your problems. And I know that the last thing I want to do is sound like I'm up here lecturing you, but I'm telling you, my son is gone, and I have been with thousands of parents that have lost their kids that look just like you, and they're gone. They're gone. So I'm saying this from the heart. Be very, very careful. It's sad that you even have to have this conversation. Any other questions? Yes?
Can drinks be laced with fentanyl?
I have not heard of a drink being laced with fentanyl. I have heard of people putting things in your drink at a bar or something and you pass out and you don't even realize. So if you are, once you're old enough to be whatever, watch, make sure your drink is covered, but I have not heard of fentanyl being in a drink.
Is it true that fentanyl can kill police just skin contact?
Yes, there was a police, not killed, he didn't kill, but he had to go to the ER. It was a policeman that had to deal with it, so that's why they wear the gloves. And it's literally like the tip of a pencil, that much fentanyl is deadly. Yes?
The pharmacies and like doctors who prescribe medicine still put fentanyl in the medicine?
So they use fentanyl in a hospital setting. They do use fentanyl and fentanyl patches in a hospital setting medically, but that's not coming over on street drugs, do you know what I mean? So it's monitored. Yes, it is used in the hospital. Oh, I see.
I just want to say on behalf of all of us here, sorry about your box. I got the ball. It's my brother. Today's his birthday.
Today?
So special, so much that everybody is real. Thank you so much.
Sorry. So for those of you that couldn't hear her, she lost her brother, and today is her brother's birthday. It's real. And I hate it that you guys have this year. This is the best time of your lives, right? This really is. It is the best time of your lives. And you're at a great school. You have great teachers. You have so much opportunity that a lot of kids don't have. A lot of kids don't have what you have. So be smart about your choices and listen. This is not a lecture. This is saving your life. There's a difference. God bless everybody here, and again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to have my voice here. Thank you.